everyone, and welcome back to World of Warships Blitz with Terry. Today, second part of looking into the very first new tech tree line of the French light cruisers is the Guépard, the Tier 6. Well, it's a destroyer, really. Let's go with it. Let's say it's a destroyer, even though everybody knows they're actually light cruisers. So, the Guépard. This was already the second generation. Guépard is the French word for cheetah, and they were all named after big cats. So the second generation of the contre-torpilleur, the scout cruisers. This is what these were. They were scout cruisers. Just as I mentioned last time, the French had good reasons for calling them destroyers, because that way you didn't have to mess with treaty limitations, and it was just kind of what they did with their doctrine to have these ships as, fleet scouts. So attacking enemy fleets with anything was actually secondary. Their main purpose was scouting and dealing with enemy scouts. And for that, they needed to be quick, and they needed to have very good guns. And everything else was actually really secondary to it. So everything had to take a back seat for these two particular features. So at Tier 6, we've looked briefly at the Bourrasque last time, but at Tier 6 things are starting to look a little bit different. So let's actually compare the Guépard to, maybe the Ernst Gede, one of the other big, rather big gunboat destroyers out here. And once again, the French are from the very onset having two ship skills: the engine boost and the rapid reload. And these are not mid-tier ship skills, right? This is an engine boost 2, which increases your speed by 10%, which is quite significant. So if you're doing 36 knots, you're going to get up to 40 for a little bit. And the rapid reload cuts your reload in half for 15 seconds. Compare that to, a lot of destroyers have engine boost, but usually it's an engine boost 1, which gives you 7.5%. So it's a bit better than what others are getting. The Guépard is having a decent amount of hit points, but because it's such a large ship, but doesn't have an awful lot of armor. And once again, that is historically correct. They were pretty thinly armored, and the steel they were using wasn't also the greatest. She has, funnily enough, the exact same speed as the Ernst Gede. And these things are not known to be particularly fast. So the whole extremely quick destroyer here only is sort of when you've got the engine boost running and early in the battle maybe. But they're definitely not among the fast destroyers quite yet. So don't let that fool you. The guns. This is where it gets really interesting. So obviously the Ernst Gede being one of these strange German designs where they try to fit cruiser guns onto destroyers, having the 150 millimeter. But I'd say the French guns here don't have to hide. Right? They're obviously not doing the same amount of armor piercing damage with a 139 millimeter gun, but they're doing a very reasonable amount against destroyers, almost 500 per shot, and have a base reload of 6.5 seconds, which is a bit on the slow side. But the fire chance on the 139s is very good with 5%. I think that's the same you get. Is it the same you get on the Galissonière with the 150s, or is that 6? Could have been 6. I'll have to check. But either way around, they have a good range. They're doing good HE damage, and they're doing pretty good AP damage as well. So these are all around good guns. Unfortunately, the turret mountings that these guns are in are not so great. And this is, once again, a theme that pulls itself through the whole line. You get a 9 degrees per second base turret traversal. For comparison, I think the Pensacola with 203 millimeter guns has the same on the American heavy cruisers. This is really not something you want in a ship that is extremely maneuverable. So turret traverse is going to have to be your focus for a lot of these things. The torpedoes are okay. They don't have a great range. So 6 kilometer range, definitely not stealth torping, but you only get 6 of them. But these are not torpedo boats. The torpedoes are really a bit more like how you would do this on the Soviets. They're situational when you happen to be in range of something. or you but you do have to be careful with rushing things because you don't have the base speed, and you don't have the torpedo alpha strike to take out something that is full health and battleshipy and rather resistant towards torpedo damage. So be careful with these things. You can get yourself into trouble, and you don't have a smoke screen or any way of getting out again. If you just burst your engine boost, you have the base speed of an Italian light cruiser. So, which it was the whole purpose of things, obviously. The AA is well, absent, but the same is true for a lot of the destroyers at this tier. And the concealment isn't great, just like on the German. So a pretty similar style, although obviously not the same style of setup, not style of play, because it's not the same utility, right? The German destroyer having the radar and the better AP damage obviously makes it extremely dangerous against other destroyers. The French are lacking the utility for that. So while they can take on an enemy destroyer in a brawl, absolutely, and having the rapid reload on the guns, like I said, it's 50% off. So was it? I think it's a rapid reload 3, so it halves the reload. So if we're starting with a 6 odd second base reload, suddenly you've got 539mm guns, which are in all intents and purposes almost cruiser guns, reloading with just over 3 seconds. So be very, very careful if you're in a destroyer to attack one of these things. If you're having a smoke screen, fine. But if you don't have a smoke ready, then be very careful, because these things can dish out a frightful amount of firepower with their guns. All right. So how does she stand up against something, let's say the Gnevny, which is the Soviet ship of similar persuasion, which also has the same setup but much lower tiers of ship skills. So because here we get 50% reload and here we get 15% reload, which is obviously a big difference. So once again, armor isn't great, hit points are. Speed is nowhere near what the Gnevny can do. But the guns are good once again. You get more guns, you get better range, and the only thing once again that you need to compensate for is the turret traverse. So this is not bad, and you'd have to kind of play it similar to how you would play, say, a Gnevny, because while she is not very maneuverable, playing at range is the way to go with these things, and just trying to set fires, make use of these guns, try to burn things down. You're not having a great amount of utility, just like in a Soviet destroyer. You're more of a situational brawler / zipping around the map, long range fire setting sort of ship. All right. So how have I set this thing up? Let's start out with the elite bonus, because you get 2 choices, and I think that's pretty much true throughout the line. You can either give it more hit points, more speed, and torpedo traverse speed. This is very tempting. Not because of the torpedo traverse, but because of the max speed. So if you were going for a full speed build, and you were literally just playing for kiting, then that might even work. That and the speed module. Personally, you see, there's sort of the good and the bad about this. It's similar with the Soviet gunboat mainline destroyers that I sort of have this issue. They're very single focused, right? It's they have relatively little in terms of utility, and they're very good for long range kiting and setting fires. But or if you're lucky, get into a brawl with AP and do some damage. But other than that, that's what they're for, right? So if your battle doesn't allow you to play this because your team refuses to back you up, or you're up against destroyers in smoke, and you don't really have a way of dealing with that, then it can often be pretty difficult to play the ship to its strength if the strength of the ship is so single focused. That's why I, for example, like the Fushun so much, because the Fushun, being the Pan-Asian Gnevny, has deep water torpedoes and long-range deep water torpedoes, and the Fushun is very much capable of playing different roles. So I personally like multi-role ships a lot more than single-role ships, because it allows to compensate for a lot of things. But anyway, that's why I'm going with the elite gun operator here, because, well, it brings down the reload time and it's a gunboat. More importantly, it gives us more traverse, because that, in combination with the main battery mod 1, which I would thoroughly recommend using, gets our turret traverse up, where are we now? From a dreadful 9 seconds to an almost acceptable 11.5 degrees per second. I've got the second slot in propulsion, because it's a destroyer and it's all about speed, and if you're kiting, that's quite useful. I do have the third slot in concealment right now. So I am on the fence about this. That gets our surface detection down to 5.6 kilometer. You could argue, very, very successfully argue, to say that you don't want this, but you want that instead. Because if we look at the base speed that we have, we're starting out with 35 knots, which isn't a lot actually. And speed is really, especially in combination with the engine boost, speed is of the essence. So this would get our speed up to 37 knots, which isn't a great improvement still, which is why I haven't chosen it. And but we would have to live with a 6.2 kilometer surface detection. So personally, I think here, and let me quickly check where this ends. So the tier 7 is still on 35. I think it's, yeah, at tier 8 with the Le Fantasque. This is, I think, where we start seeing a more viable speed build. Although, once again, you could argue and saying, hey, make it faster, and in combination with the speed boost, which gives you, what's it, 50%, I think here, it could be a viable setup. But I don't know. I feel it's not enough base speed to warrant this quite yet, and I'd rather have the concealment here. So doing this is what I ended up with. Now, I did mention that again last time, that they actually have some ship skills that do require a pretty high level commander, because the engine overload skill is a tier 9 skill, and the master reloader is a tier 10 skill. That takes a while to get there. So I've currently got a level 6 commander here. So if I were to use free XP to level him up to level 10, that would be almost 500,000 XP. So that's the amount of XP you need to accumulate in order to get up to that tier and really use these skills. Not everyone's going to have that very easily. So I think in the lower and mid tiers, we're not going to see that a lot, that people have captains with this level of skill available. So we're just building up from the bottom here. The preheating, obviously, for a destroyer skill makes sense. I am running Fire Supremacy for the additional rapid reload, because it is all about the guns for me with these ships. And the obvious choice is Exploit Weakness, because while the armor piercing is good, the high explosive is very good as well, and doing extra damage when ships are on fire, also with torpedoes, is a good thing, or if they're flooding, But yeah, the obvious skills that you want down the road is the engine overload and the master reloader. You probably the only choice here is fully prepared. And I would probably think Adrenaline Rush is a good skill for these things to have as well, because you're not going to get any smoke screens. So that's that. All right, camos. The tier 6 actually can get unique historical camos. So this would give you range on both the guns and the torpedoes. Torpedoes have a 6 kilometer base range, I think. Where is it? Yeah, 6 kilometers. So it's not much. It's almost German levels of torpedo range here. German cruiser torpedoes. It gives better traverse speed and better surface detection. So all in all, good. But is this a good tier 6 destroyer? Because tier 6 is where it starts getting serious, I feel, with destroyers. There are a lot of very, very good destroyers around in tier 6, like the Germans, the Gnevny, the Fushun. The Icarus. The Icarus is an excellent ship and can be absolutely monstrous in Tier 6 with its torpedo damage, because people oftentimes haven't figured out how to dodge the single drop torpedoes yet. So can she stand up to this? Well, let's have a look. First of all, we're going to put the regular camo on and then get into some games. In the first battle, we're playing Domination on Big Race, and we're top tier. So it's a 6v6. There's a Beau, Gafuso, Emerald, Farragut, Nicholas, and a Jaguar. It's nice that all the mid-tier French destroyers are named after big cats, so let's go. Like I said, 139mm AP against light cruisers, definitely viable. And you can do a lot of things with that. So I am spawning left side, so I am going for A cup. We'll see how much backup I'm going to get. But yeah, I switch over to the AP for starters, and make sure you line up your guns where you want them, because the turret traverse is a bit atrocious. And especially that mid turret has a tendency to to turn to the wrong side if you're not paying attention. So yeah, team calls out A, I'm heading A. Nobody backs me up. The carrier doesn't scout A. Carrier just goes straight down the middle, but that's okay. With the engine boost and the preheating, we do 41 knots, which isn't a lot, but it's also not absolutely dreadful. We are detected. We're probably air spotted by the carrier, so whatever comes between these two islands knows that we're here. But I'm reasonably confident that I can take things on. Okay, 2 destroyers. There's the Nicholas and Farragut. So let's give them the good news. I'm just going to get my torpedoes away so I can focus on my guns. So torps away, and then guns aligned and rapid reload up, and then we'll give the Nicholas the good news. And I think he's trying to torp me because he stopped shooting. But with the rapid reload up, he's just melting. So and he's distracted by my torpedoes. He took 1 torp. Is he going to take a second? Not really. There come the Nicholas torps, but he's already dead. He did take a second. Okay. So rapid reload on cooldown. There's still the Farragut, and there's an Emerald. So Emerald is not something I want to necessarily brawl with. So I think it's time to vacate this spot, especially not if it's not one-on-one. So let's move out from here and just get some shots at the Farragut. But yeah, the Emerald is shooting at me. And this is the point where we leave. I really have to try very hard not to make jokes about French martial arts of running away and stuff like that. You know, it's all in good fun, right? Do notice that I am firing armor piercing at the Emerald, because the Emerald is a very thinly armored light cruiser, and I should be able to citadel that thing if I get close enough, or do some good damage at him. But he does smoke up, so my prospective torpedoes... No, he hasn't stayed in his smoke. So my torpedoes are going to miss. There might be Emerald torpedoes somewhere, so I have to be a little bit careful. And obviously Emerald can hurt, but he has to hit me first. Of course, he's got rapid reloading 150s, so we're going to dive under these and still see if we can do some damage to him. But he still doesn't have the range. But there's also a New Mexico and the Farragut's back. I don't have torpedo angles at anything, so I'll drop them in the general direction. Let's see if somebody runs into them. But I'll grab A cup and just disengage at this point. And is that Farragut coming around the corner? Let's see. If he is, he's dead. Hello. Okay, he smokes up. So that's the other problem. Smoke destroyers obviously being an issue. Let's see if he's stopped or if he's sailing in a straight line. I think he's still sailing forward from the measly bit of AA that's popping up there. Also, the shell hang time is a bit dreadful. So the shells are taking their time to get there, and they're not the most precise. So at long range, firing at destroyers is actually not ideal. But I should be able to just send down enough AP that range that maybe I can grab the Farragut. No, he just gets away. But he's on super low health, so someone's going to be able to kill him. And if he comes out behind that island, that might well be me, if I can catch him. I do want to help out with B Cup. There's only one bot, but I'd like that Farragut dead if I could. And now once again, the guns are taking their sweet time to turn around, having a baguette in the meantime. And a coffee, so I am sorry. I am legally obliged to make bad puns, all right? Do we need to kill that bot? We really don't. There's a Fargood and there's the... Oh, hello, Mr. Bogue. I have the right ammunition type loaded for you. My center turret is still not around. But yeah, as tempting as it is to use the AG, and it is absolutely viable to use the AG. It's very, very good AG with a great fire chance. Look at the amount of damage that I'm doing to this carrier with the 139mm armor piercing. It's pretty... There you go. It's pretty devastating. And there's another one. Is he gonna run into a torp? Oh, you lucky son of a... Just run out. So now, yeah, it's my kill. And where's that Fargood? There he is. Hello, Mr. Fargood. I still have a rapid reload up for a couple of seconds, so we'll get some more shells down your general direction. But yeah, that's sort of what you want to do. And once again, he smokes up, but too little, too late. He did. Don't underestimate the armor piercing on these things. The high explosive is great, but the AP can do a lot of damage if used correctly against the right targets. Against battleships, while you can do probably more damage with the AP, the delta between AP and HE isn't that great, and the fire chance is so good I would probably use that. But against things like destroyers or light cruisers, it's worth doing that. Let's go out again. And it's the same map again, but it's a full set this time. And while we do have 2 tier 5 carrier, I think everything is tier 6. You will find a lot of the... I don't know how you pronounce that actually. Igel? I have to look that up. I don't know what it means. Can't remember how to pronounce. Can't think of how to pronounce that off the top of my head. But a lot of people are bringing this out because of the event. Obviously, that gives you French destroyer things. So if you have French premium destroyers around, you may as well use them. That's why you see these things a lot. That's actually, I think, a successor of the Guépard class. So we'll have to review that one. But what are we up against? Zuiho, Double Fuso, New Mexico, Galicionière, and 2 of those things. All right, let's go. Same map, same battle, but more battleships around this time, and fewer destroyers to deal with. But once again, a carrier. And we're doing the same thing, I'd say. Let's go back to A and then see what we can get done over there. And once again, I have a cruiser right next to me, and once again, I am not sure I'm going to get any support, but I'll head there anyway. Even if just to delay the enemy team a little bit. Once again, having a smoke screen, longer range torpedoes and such would be really nice, but you don't. And yeah, while she does 41 knots with the engine boost running and the preheating captain skill, it's not a very fast ship. So you do need to mind yourself that you're not getting too close, because you are relatively easy to prey. You can't get out of things very quickly. And once again, I'm air spotted, and once again, I'm up against 2 destroyers. This time, it's actually the French, and it's effectively the successor class of what I'm sailing. So I can't remember what the torpedo range on these things is. So I'm keeping my respectful distance, but. He's run into an unfortunately placed island. I know who puts these things in your way all the time. I can feel that one. So break out the torpedoes, and he hasn't used his guns, so I assume he's dropped torpedoes. Yep, there they come. And I have just taken about half his health off, so that's a good start. Now we're switching to the high explosive, because I am coming under fire, and there's a New Mexico over there, who's making his way here. And that looks like that was an uncomfortably close shot. I was actually thinking he would aim further ahead, but okay, I'll drop some torpedoes in his wake. I know they're out of range, but he's coming towards me, so if I'm lucky, the torpedoes are actually going to run straight into him. So let's see. Well, for now, we're setting a fire. He's not Damaconing a single fire, so either he doesn't have a Damacon. Okay, and he's once again targeting me pretty well. I mean, given that I was in reverse. So, might be... Oh, come on. Almost worked. Might be a player who knows what he's doing. Anyway, we do have to be a little bit more careful. In mid-tier, you never know. But I have 2 battleships chasing me, and once again, he's not Damaconing the fire. Okay, that's a double fire, and that shot fell a bit short. So going forward seems definitely be the way to go with this guy. And he has stopped over there. He's not cupping. As long as these guys aren't cupping, I'm actually quite happy about that. But I also don't want to get any closer, because that's a Fuso and a New Mexico. Yeah, and that shot went over my head. So we're just gunboating around here in the countryside, seeing what we can do. And yeah, these have missed again. So yeah, don't try to play smart. Oh, there's the Eagle. Is it Eagle? I don't know. I really have to look that up so I don't mispronounce it. Okay, let's see if we can do something about him. Rapid reload on and gunboat. Just out of torp range because the island's in the way. Oh well. We'll do damage what we can, and then hopefully someone else can kill this thing as they come. Because I am running a little bit low on hit points here. So just seeing if he comes around behind the island. But he has done what the battleships have failed to do. No, he's bugging off. He doesn't want to play anymore either. So heal up a little bit, back to the high explosive, and we'll deal with the battleships. Unfortunately, he's done what the battleships weren't thinking of, which is to cap. Although now the New Mexico, I think, would have capped. So I have gone undetected. We're 1 kill ahead, and because we've been holding caps for most of the time, we're far ahead on points. So this is all good. It's the Fuso actually. Fuso's coming out. So now we go and bully these battleships a little bit. Because we're having a comfortable points lead, so we don't necessarily strictly need a cap that urgently. Okay, Fuso's behind the island, but New Mexico isn't. Hello, remember me? So this is about as far as I want to go, because you're now in my torpedo range. But I think this would clip the island. I think the New Mexico is slowing down, but I think the Fuso is coming out of there. So let's do a full loop. And once I'm hidden behind the island and out of sight of these two, I go stealth because they can't see me because I'm behind the island. And let's see if Fuso expects these torpedoes to come around. Nobody expects the Spanish Inquisition. Let's see if we can get some fires set, but no, I think that would have been too close with the Damacon. I was hoping for a permaflood, but it doesn't look like I get that. So, well, I am going to stick very close to this island and use that a little bit as defense because it can be quite hard to hit ships because the what's it called? The hitboxes of the islands are sometimes not visible and can be in the way of your shells. So sometimes things can actually hit the island. But I think I just got lucky here not to be deleted by the Fuso, to be honest. So a much needed heal, and we keep shooting at him. My turrets, my front turrets still haven't managed to turn around. That's probably due to my hectic maneuvering here, but I just want to open up the range, which is surprisingly difficult in this ship, because if you're maneuvering, you do barely over 30 knots, so it's really not all that much. I do have to watch out with the other island, and ooh, that could have gone worse. Fortunately, he's still firing armor piercing at me. Although you get a lucky full pen with an AP shot from that angle, you might have deleted me as well. So I did get lucky there, but let's see if I can get the kill on. The other Fuso takes him out. Well, that leaves the battleship and one of the carriers. So that's the New Mexico over there. So now we can head back there and play a little bit with the New Mexico, while the rest of my team is trying to chase down that carrier. There's still a friendly Fuso who's on full hit points, sitting comfortably in B caps. So there's no need for us to be anywhere there. We'll go around the other side, hoping that the New Mexico is distracted, and that gives us enough time to once again get our gun turrets aligned. This is one of the bigger problems you have in these things, is to, you see that center turret, these are the two rear turrets, which are now locking in position. The center turret is still trying to get around, because these aren't 360 turrets. He has to go around the long way. Okay. There's the New Mexico, so now it's just farming a little bit more damage before the battle ends. So yeah, is this a very good destroyer in tier 6? Not really. Like I said, it is very situational, and you can do some good work in tier 6, but don't expect to rack up like 100,000 damage, like something that you can do in an Icarus relatively easily, just by getting into dumb battleships. Oh yeah, please turn broadside onto my torpedoes. That would be much appreciated. Not so much in this thing. It's not a bad destroyer. Now, don't get me wrong, and you can make yourself useful to your team, but it's I would say it's an average tier 6 destroyer. So we'll really have to see if the whole speed and gunpowder setup, like ultralight scout cruiser setup, is going to be viable going forward as people become more skilled. and obviously also on the face of carriers, because if you come in one of these things, if you come under, they're large, they don't have smokes. They might be relatively, if a carrier knows how fast they can go, they might be relatively easy to take out for skilled carriers in higher tiers. So concealment is bad, all those things. So we'll see. I'm still sort of enjoying this trip, so we will see what the future tiers are bringing. But for now, that's it for today. Thanks everybody, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.